Live from the ProCopy studio, in Perth, Western Australia, it's time for this week's Wine and Cheese.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Wine and Cheese. What a great week it was last week with
Mitch.
Young Mitch in here.
Man,
That
what
is
a
one talented
user.
guy, isn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, he plays like 12 different instruments incredibly well, all of them.
Yeah.
And he was in here recording his CD. That's going to be released.
September the 26th, going to be launched in Albany.
The Albany
yeah.
Entertainment
Yeah,
Centre.
yeah.
It's all booked
So,
in, it's all happening.
If you're travelling around about that time, try and get into that gig because it's going to be a lot of fun.
No,
Yeah.
it's amazing, and yeah, it's really, really good music. Now, you met last week, with Lisa Baker.
Yep,
Now,
Lisa
who is
is
Lisa?
Lisa's MLA for Maylands.
What does MLA mean?
Oh,
To those overseas.
member of the something party going down south.
Okay.
I don't know. Don't ask me
That
that
clears
question.
it up incredibly.
Member of the legislative
Legislative
assembly or something, like
which is something to do with Parliament.
Yeah. She's a wonderful lady, and in my previous life as president of SEBA, the business association that used to be the Morley and Districts Business Association, met her many times, and great person to talk to when you need to vent a little bit or seek out an avenue to get things heard, because that's
Okay.
one of the things. I mean,
It's pretty rare, isn't it, for a politician to actually listen to anybody
there are
besides
a
themselves.
few out there that actually make themselves accessible. And I've always found that with Lisa. So Daryl Edwards and myself, Daryl was on our episode with Camille and Jamie and Darren Reed,
Yeah.
and was talking about the events and the entertainment industry. And we put in a call to her to go and have a bit of a chat about things, and it took a couple of weeks because everybody's rather busy trying to work out what the hell's going on around the place. And met with her last Thursday, and we were there about an hour and a half actually.
That's pretty good.
That's fantastic,
of a politician's time.
and I know
That's
they're
good.
exceptionally busy, and they've always got several things on. You
Yeah.
know. So we went through quite a few things to do with the industry, and a few
Okay.
general things as well. You know,
Yeah.
some of the concerns that you know that I talk about from day to day. So it was good to
So
put
was
an
it-
observation
Was
forward.
it just the entertainment sector or general businesses?
Small business.
Uh,
We chatted about the health and well-being of small businesses, the events industry, you know, which Daryl is a lot to do with, and the entertainment part of the industry, which is kind of a subsection of all of that as well, and tried to reiterate about the issues that are still being faced, and in some cases growing issues, and some of the things that we thought could be done.
You
know.
were saying about the moratorium ending for businesses' leases and rents.
Yeah, for rents and things like
What's that
where
about?
the government got put in some.
I have no idea what the word moratorium means. That's why I had to look down then to
Yeah.
read it.
Well, essentially,
What does it actually mean?
what it was is, if you couldn't pay your rent, you could negotiate with the landlord about making arrangements to part pay your rent and things like that. Well, the government realised that with this COVID thing, things were going to get out of control, you know, and so what they did is they put in a few things into place so that landlords couldn't kick businesses out.
So a moratorium
is
is almost like an emergency plan?
Yeah, in a way. But what it is,
Contingency.
it's like a defined period of time generally. So I think it was 6 months, so from March till September, there was a moratorium on it, so that people could come to arrangements and pay off their rent, or at least not have the doors locked on them.
Yeah, right.
Now, what's going to happen come September, October, particularly in our industries, is that a lot of people still aren't making any money.
Yeah.
They're certainly not making 2 to 3 times the amount of profit that they were making pre-COVID in order to be able to catch up on their rents in any time soon. So
That's the thing, isn't it? Is all the events that were cancelled haven't suddenly come back. They've been cancelled for the year.
they've been cancelled for good.
Yeah.
You know, that was one of the things we
it's
pointed out.
It's not money that you can expect to be coming in that's
No.
been delayed. It's
No.
money that's been written off.
Yeah, it's gone, and that was one of the things that we did point out, is that, as we said before, you know, a lot of the events industry are one-off events, or they're annual events, mid-year concerts and things like that. When they are cancelled, that's it, they've gone. They might happen next year, depending on how things go. So, a lot of people to do with the entertainment industry and things like that, and other industries as well. We're not saying.
But the entertainment industry's been suffering for years anyway.
It's been suffering
4 to 8 years anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's been reduced profits in the industry for some time for a lot of people. So, our point there was, okay, well, businesses need a sense of, well, at the moment they've got a sense of uncertainty. They don't know what's coming up. So the proposal there was that some legislation is put into place again to help people so that they're not kicked out of their business premises, and that they can keep trading and move forward. So that's going to take,
or at least hang in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My other suggestion, which is, on the one hand, it sounds a little bit weird, but when you think about it, it's not too bad. If the government found funding to be able to pay landlords overdue rent, and in some cases it might be $20,000 or $30,000 or something like that, it seems like it's a lot of money, but it's nothing compared to having 5 or 6 or 10 people out of work and getting Centrelink. In the same period of time as that is happening, you've still got a business able to operate. You've still got the staff spending money. You know, 80% of the money you earn probably goes back to the government one way or another anyway. So it's like kind of paying it forward. Yeah, that's the way I look at it. If they were to support small businesses by coming to some arrangement with rents, the landlord can pay their accounts, they can pay their their loans, and excuse me, and businesses can carry on, staff can keep working, and there's a health issue, mental health issue. Everybody feels a lot better because they can keep going, and then hopefully things grow and start to rebuild, and then the pressure is taken off. So that was one of the suggestions that I had, is that is there an avenue where their bean counters can go in, have a look at what are the ramifications if we don't support the businesses.
You were saying that as well, that she didn't seem to have a grasp of the pyramid that we've shown before on the show, of it's not just the person on the stage, it filters all the way down to support staff, to everybody that has something to do with it. And she really wasn't aware of that, the depth of it.
Yeah, a lot of the politicians have a bit of a general understanding about what's going on. But when Daryl pointed out the fact that there were 30 businesses in the city of Bayswater and Bassendean, events-based businesses, 370 people employed, that was a bit of a shock.
I can imagine.
That there were so many doing that type of work in that area, and that there was an awful lot of money invested in their businesses by them that in some cases have taken 30, 32, 33 years to build up that inventory of equipment and to be able to do these jobs. Daryl also pointed out that he got asked to help out just as COVID was starting to happen with a concert in town where all of the equipment had been sent over from over east. They had problems with the equipment. He was able to supply exactly the same equipment from his warehouse in Bayswater that had been trucked across the country.
So why wasn't it ordered there to begin with?
That was the question we posed. Why is it that that is coming across
And
when
you
there
would
are
think-
people here that can do it?
Well, you would think the promoter, the producers, the venue, all of that would welcome a cheaper rate for the same stuff.
I think sometimes it's convenience. If you've toured around the country and you've got a relationship with a particular company.
And that can be
happens.
true because, as you know from big touring shows, that they like to keep all the stuff together, put it in its container. I mean, could you imagine Roger Waters' concert that we saw at the entertainment centre there was... You'd hate to turn up somewhere and find someone forgot to bring a double adapter.
Yeah. I mean, it really is that, but I think there may be a bit of a push to go, okay, well, why do you need to bring it over now? And that would help companies like Darrell's.
Is that then going to piss off the transport companies?
I don't think so. I think it just makes an awful lot of sense to actually provide it here, support the businesses here at a time when they need it. And I think that might happen in the foreseeable future. That would be a great way to actually do it. You know, so it's one of those things that hopefully that information helped. And I think the vast nature of it, I mean, you take, for example, a shire or a city department, you know, they have a number of different events each year in their buildings. They have workshops with people, they have public meetings and all that kind of stuff. And they'll have somebody walk up to the lectern and start talking, and they've got a PowerPoint presentation that plays on a screen, a couple of TVs dotted around the place. They're all operated by AV companies and AV people, and a lot of the time they're invisible. It just happens. You know, so you go to a meeting, it just happens, and I think
that's the nature
one
of our
the things.
business. Is that, you know, people in film and television fight for credits at the end of a film or a TV show because that's all we get. But so many projects we work on don't even allow for credits, and so we don't get anything. We're the invisible people that make it work. And there's always been this thing. When I was studying technical theatre at college back in my early 20s, there was always this argument between the technicians and the actors is like, is the actor standing in our light or are we lighting the actor? And they're equally important.
It's all part of the whole, isn't it?
If the sound guy's not there, the actor can't be heard.
So the extent of those kind of jobs and things like that is massive. You know, Darrell, as he stated on the program before, you know, he does something like 2,000 jobs a year. So he's 1,000.
We should go and work for him.
Yeah, well, not at the moment. He's going to struggle between now and Christmas. Because to a large extent, a lot of the shires and those kind of traditional gigs have all been canned. You know, public events are being canned, school concerts, there may be a few starting to happen, but people are very reluctant. So,
well, I know a lot of high school graduation balls, and it's not just here. You know, I got friends in America that graduated high school and they didn't get any ceremony, they didn't get anything, and it's like you sort of work towards that through your high school
it's a
career.
big event in your life.
It's a big event in your life. You dress up, you get a limo, you know, the girls wear nice dresses, the guys get tuxedos and things, and it's not just here in Australia, it's in America, it's in England, and it just didn't happen this year, and it's just not fair on them. But
it's like a lot of the
understandably, it
weddings
has
that
to
have been
be that way.
cancelled and rescheduled and things
Weddings
like
are
that.
different because you can put them off
Yeah.
because you don't have to get married, but you graduate high school this year,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. Now,
So
you
that's a bit
also
sad,
spoke
yeah.
to her about some sort of overarching body that perhaps could be formed.
Yeah.
Like we've got WHAM for contemporary music or the Events Industry Association for others, but there's no one body that looks after everybody,
No.
is there? And is it time that that should be formed?
Well, one of the things that we did point out is that because there's no overarching body, you've got really no representation there. And when you've got a thing like this happening, the industry is represented by lots of fragmented organisations and things like that. There's no cohesive body. But there's also nowhere to go to at a government level to talk to them about it. You've got Department of Culture and Arts. So David Templeman, who Daryl had a meeting with, is there. But again, that's a very niche part of the market. It's like WHAM. WHAM represents contemporary music, a small niche of the music
WHAM
industry.
don't deal with past musicians or history. They have made it very, very clear to us particularly that they really don't give a shit about history and preserving it.
Yeah, there's that, but there's a vast number of music genres as well that occasionally get mentioned, but that's not their focus. So one of the suggestions that we had was that perhaps the Department of Culture and Arts is broadened in its scope, so that under that department, because it's going to be almost impossible to get a new portfolio or new minister to do anything at the moment. It's not going to happen that easily.
No. And
with
you
all
can't
the regulations.
just make a minister.
No, you
up.
can't do it. There's too much there. But you could expand in an area that's already existing and maybe have extra staff to help out. So one of my suggestions was broaden the scope of, say, the Department of Culture and Arts so that it also involved the events and the entertainment industries, so that at least you had a central point to go to discuss issues such as what's happening at the moment. Tourism has got an area that you can go to talk to. The arts have got an area.
But didn't
Transport
Scott
and roads.
Morrison at a federal level get rid of the arts minister? Didn't he
They
shut
put them
that
into
all
a different
down?
portfolio. Yeah.
Right.
But we've still got locally.
Right. Because I find that crazy that arts are so important, because everybody at the end of the day goes home and watches television. They might not necessarily go to the theatre, they might not necessarily go to the ballet or the opera or go see a musical or something, but everyone goes home and watches television and stuff, and that's arts. And I just can't see how you would cut
what you've
that
said
off.
really highlights the fact that the industry as a whole has been underrepresented for a long time. The scope of it, I mean, when you add it up, you've got the AFL, you've got Qantas, you've got other areas of business as such. The arts and the events industry are bigger than all of those combined together. And that came as a bit of a shock. When you turn around and go, you know, Qantas is after $4 billion to pay down debt. If you gave $1 billion to the arts and entertainment industry,
wow.
you would generate $4 billion worth of benefit.
Yeah.
And at the moment, the money that is on offer federally equates to about $450 a person involved in the industry.
But that's my point though,
nothing.
right? Is that not everybody watches AFL, but everyone needs to be entertained.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's always been the poor cousin to sport.
Yeah.
But not everyone's into sport.
needs
And I
to
know
be-
that's hard to believe for a lot of people, but
Yeah. There needs to be a body that advocates for the industry, and you've got to be able to go somewhere to talk to. So there needs to be a couple of things happening in that area. So hopefully that idea might be considered as well.
Yeah, and we won't go into this now, but we've just basically said it about funding. That you know, we have a couple of personal projects that we've slaved over, paid for ourselves. One of them being the Profile Show, 3 years, 106 episodes, paid for by Mark, myself, Gary and Al. And we're really proud of what we accomplished, because a lot of those people we interviewed aren't here anymore. And we have their oral histories. And, you know, other people's try and capture their oral histories. And our oral histories are just as important. And the stories that people can tell about things that aren't ever going to be written in books, aren't ever going to be anywhere, you know, and we captured a lot of that, which was great. But it really got to a point where we just couldn't afford to do it anymore, because when we're working on that, we're not working on paid jobs, and the bills have got to be paid, or we've got no studio to keep filming in. You know.
One of the other things that I'll bring up, which is related to the whole kind of music industry as well, is that in European countries, and people like Rick Riddle and Michael Videlli and all of that will confirm this. In a lot of those countries,
Richie and Gabby.
Yeah, the staff in some of the venues, the entertainment venues, are actually paid for with government money. And the reason that happens is these venues are seen as great venues to have as far as tourism is concerned. So it interlinks with the tourism market. If you've got a professionally run venue with a great show, with plenty of staff to serve people drinks in a nice orderly amount of time and all of that kind of stuff, it benefits the country as far as tourism is concerned. So some way of supporting venues here in order to be able to put a couple of extra staff on, so they can be trained in hospitality and they can work in these venues. The venues don't have to absorb all of those costs and immediately. It can come a year or so down the track. So get people trained into the hospitality industry, get them into the venues, help the venues, and that leaves the money available at the venues to be able to book the bands. And put shows on and all of that kind of stuff. So the money does get spent, it just gets spent in a different way. And again, the more people that are working, the better off everybody is. So a proposal there to be able to have support for staff at venues, I think is a very good one, rather than say, we'll give X amount of dollars to a venue to book a band, because it's probably not going to happen that way. But if you've got staff going in there, then everybody benefits. And as we know, you look at Victoria at the moment, you think they've got another 250,000 people probably going on the dole this week. How on earth is that, going to translate in a few months' time? Because they're probably not going to go back to the jobs that they had in a lot of cases.
You're
the businesses
absolutely
will be
right.
gone.
Well, that's something that came out today, didn't it? Was the music website has, and that's at themusic.com.au. But it came out about Victoria, and it happened here, but it's really, really hitting them hard, because I don't know what the hell's happened in Victoria, to be honest, but these guys are really, really suffering, and it's really it's really un-Australian of those that are knocking Victorians and stuff at the moment, because that's not the way we roll in this country. We support each other, and our love and hearts go out to everyone in Victoria at the moment. But the music industry has been one of the hardest hits by COVID, obviously. But the RMIT University has come up with a music industry impact survey. Now, I'd really love to see this Australia-wide, And it's really good to see about who's affected by the pandemic and its accompanying lockdowns, because the whole entertainment industry was overlooked. You know, musicians don't work 9 to 5, and so they didn't qualify for Centrelink benefits
a lot
and things
a lot
like
didn't
that.
have ABN numbers and things like that.
Exactly, and they just fell through the gaps. And so there is a survey there, folks, for those that want to do it. People that have lost their income, such as road crew, people who run venues. So it's a 15-minute survey. It's only open to those who live in Victoria at the moment, but hopefully they'll expand this and have worked in the music industry in the past 12 months. So to go to it, you want to go to www.themusic.com.au/news/Victorian Music Industry COVID-19 Impact Survey, and we'll put the link up for you. But go and check that out and let them know.
As far as surveys go, also I'll be starting a survey in conjunction with ECU.
Oh, okay.
Shortly.
When are you doing that? Okay.
I think we have the preliminary meeting next Friday.
How did that come about?
We were approached. Yeah, we were approached, and I filled out a couple of forms and sent them in, and fortunately they looked at the project and went, yep, okay, we think we should do this. So
good one.
That basically what I looked at and said, okay, what are the buying patterns of the youth at the moment? Where does music sit in their scale of priorities? Would they go out? What other things do they do with their disposable income? And all of that kind of stuff. So we can try and get a picture of what things can be done in the music industry to encourage people to come out and support music.
Good.
And stuff like that. So
where will that
be
be available? Through the Curtin University website?
It's through ECU, so Edith Cowan.
Oh, sorry, I said Curtin,
so
Edith Cowan,
the work will commence Friday week. There's a team of people going to be doing the research in conjunction with me mentoring them. So a lot of it, of course, is going to be done across Zoom or something like that. So
fantastic. Did you tell me about this and I forgot?
I don't think I did, Phil.
I don't think you did.
No, I don't think I did.
Oh, look, I'm really not happy with you keeping things from me, man.
You can spank me later. So that's something that may give us some information that we can use down the track. It's something that I've wanted to do for a couple of years, and a previous attempt at doing it didn't eventuate.
Okay.
But I think this one will, and let's hope that we get some valid and valuable information for everybody.
Fantastic. All right.
Schicke Maske durch. Jetzt kann ich endlich mal modisch rausgehen, ja? Also ich gehe einkaufen.
Ja, tschüss, mach's gut.
We got some great gigs coming up.
3 great gigs coming up.
Finally.
3 great gigs coming up. Darren Reed is actually doing a support gig at the Astor.
He's great. He's been out and about as well doing stuff. That guy doesn't stop.
Yeah, no, he's
amazing.
He's great and so vibrant.
He's been doing car parks and things to keep social distancing. It's brilliant.
From the top of a car.
Yeah.
So he's doing a gig called A Little Help for Our Friends, which is a support gig to help industry people, like Daryl and a couple of Backline and a couple of other places that have been finding it a bit tough. He's taken it upon himself to organise a huge gig. It'll be at the Astor Theatre in Mount Lawley there.
I love that theatre, nice deco theatre.
Yeah,
it's
brilliant.
Awesome.
It'll be the 22nd of August, so only a couple of weeks away. And hopefully it's going to sell out. Of course, it's on this cusp of how many people can they put in there at the moment?
Yeah.
Like so many things. So hopefully that weekend they raise the limit a little bit, but from what I'm hearing, I think we have to be prepared for it maybe not to happen like that.
But
it would
in
be
a venue
great.
like that, you could social distance better.
Yeah, yeah.
So you probably,
Yeah.
with upstairs as well.
I think it's just getting in and out of buildings like that
Oh,
make
that's
it all
true, isn't
difficult,
it?
and the
Of course.
toilets and all that kind of stuff.
Of course.
So
I hadn't even thought of
Darren
that.
Reed and the Soul City Groove are playing, Felix, Steel Rex, Airbag and Wax, which are all
Fantastic.
bands that have in the past have drawn really big crowds around the place.
Yeah.
So that's a fantastic gig on August the 22nd. What's the one that you've got?
Well, we're doing a concert for Slim Jim, Jamie McCanty.
Yep.
Top guy. Everyone loves him. He's one of the nicest guys you could ever meet. It's called Concert for Slim. It's at the Charles Hotel on September the 5th.
Mm-hmm.
And I am going to read out who's on because this will blow you away. You've got 80s Underground, Murphy's Law, V Capri. Special guest appearances by Alf and Richard from the Fonzarellis, Dick, Phil and Dave from Loaded Dice, Darren Reed, Lisa Hill, Greg Keamy, Donna Green, amazing, Joey Roberts, awesome, Frank Genovese, Stephanie Tornatora, I knew I'd trip on that one, sorry Steph, Gary Dunn of course, Steve Gard, Jamie Page, beautiful, Steve Essex, Vinnie Correa, Peter Borg, Tim Count and Kim Siragusa.
What an awesome lineup.
Some of the biggest names, man. Like, these people are just awesome. And we've done 9 out of 10 of these people on the profile, and the stories they've told, the people they've worked with over the years is just amazing.
And just such brilliant professional musos.
oh, look, you know, we all came together to do the Pecco gig.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so
it just blows
doing
you
it for
away to see
Slim,
all of this.
Slim Jim is really
yeah,
great to get everybody
he's
back.
going through a really rough time at the moment, and we want to help him.
So next up we've got Friday, October the 23rd. Gary Dunn, James Morley and
wow.
Amanda Conzerlo,
she's
aka
awesome.
Bloom, have got a gig at the Charles Hotel again. Brilliant supporters of the music industry, the Charles. So that is 80s versus the 90s. So there's the VHS Pirates,
VHS
underneath the
Pirates.
radar, a 90s girl power.
Okay.
So that's going to be a fantastic gig. I'm sure, like the other 2 gigs, they're going to sell out really quickly. So get in there, get the tickets organised for that one. That's going to be another fantastic show. So all sorts of different stuff. Some of the guys from Murphy's Law, I think, are in VHS Pirates.
Okay.
Phil, so great musos, great singers in particular. I love the quality of their voices, you know. So
Oh, look, I remember when
That's
we
gonna be really
went and
good.
filmed Bloom
yeah,
when she did her Adele songbook.
yeah,
And one of the best gigs I've ever filmed in my life. It was so good, and she is so spot on.
yeah, yeah.
She's amazing.
So that's going to be some great entertainment coming up towards the end of October. So, and then we'll see
Fantastic.
how things go after that. I'm sure there'll be a few other gigs that we can talk about. So that's really good.
We'll let you know.
Yep.
This is just for Perth, even though we have a worldwide
Yes.
audience of 100.
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Sorry, everybody else not in Perth at the moment. Good luck trying to get in. Now, what else have we got?
Oh,
You got given a
Richie.
CD the other day.
Richie Pavlidis has just released a new CD called Live at the Gaslight Club.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant, of course. And there's quite a few songs on there, which is really good. And it doesn't say where people can get this. Does he have a website or something?
You can go to Richie's website, just Google him. But also at the moment, him and Gabby were going to be going back to Switzerland this week.
Oh, really?
They decided not
Are
to.
they allowed?
Yeah, they had permission to go back.
Okay.
But I think Gab looked at the outfits that the airline staff were wearing, which is basically hazmat suits, and they decided not to go, which is very sensible. So Richie's going to be playing around town a lot more.
Great.
Until they
I'd rather
eventually
they
do
stay
go back
home and be safe.
Yeah, I'd rather, you know, that we can keep an eye on them here. So
And
you'll be able to get his CD at the gigs.
Have you heard about Alan Pithers? Is he allowed back into Germany, or are
He's
they
the
never
same.
going to let him back in again
Oh, I don't
because
think
of what
they'd-
he did?
I don't think they'll
It was
let him
like
in
the
anywhere.
Beatles in Hamburg. Don't
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about it.
I think currently he's in the southwest with his mum at the moment.
Oh, nice.
He's a lovely son.
He loves his mum.
Yeah,
When he comes in here, he's got to make sure he gives her dinner first and stuff. He's a good lad.
he's a good lad. So yeah, I don't think Al will be going back anytime soon either. People just aren't comfortable, are they, mate? I mean, this is one of the
I wouldn't
big
get
things.
on a plane, let alone... I wouldn't get on a plane from here to Albany, let alone...
It was an area that we spoke to Lisa Baker a bit about, is essentially how are they going to monitor people's mental health. The more dialogue is spoken about that is negative in the press all the time, it's impacting on everybody. And in fact, I heard on the radio
Absolutely.
today, there are major concerns in Victoria now about the mental health of people, and I think they're putting extra funding in to help with mental health issues.
Good.
Because they've realised, you know, what's going on. So it was something that was of concern from both Darryl and myself that we expressed to the Minister about maintaining, particularly in areas where work isn't coming back anytime soon. And let's face it, if the federal government had now extended JobKeeper out until the end of March, the prospects of the economy changing much in the next 8 months is not real good.
Exactly.
You know, they don't do things like that.
Well,
with
we're
no
going
reason.
to we're going to have George and Yo back on future shows to try and help people with some coping strategies.
Yeah, I think
Because
that's a good idea.
None of us in this generation have had to deal with anything like this before, and we're not equipped to do with it. Something Yo said to me the other day is responsibility is your ability to respond to something. And if we don't know how to, how can we?
Yeah.
Our ability's not there.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening to a lot of people.
So anyway, having said that,
It is time for
Jim's gripe, the
Of-
gripe,
the gripe of
the week.
the week
Oh, this week or last week?
this week.
Hey,
Take it away, Jim.
G'day. In the next 4 minutes, I'll try to explain, as best I can, why nobody, black or white, should be using the N-word in 2020. I've had a bit of time lately, like most of us, and had a look at the racial unrest in the States. And I was discussing this with a mate of mine the other day, and he said, my son's been dropping the N-word around the house lately. And I fronted him, and he said he had learnt it from rap records. Now, I'm a child of the 50s, and like my friend, I grew up in a time when the N-word was sprinkled around literature, films, even on television. But even then, to most of my generation, it seemed like a derogatory term. From the early 1600s, when slaves were transported to America to work on the cotton and tobacco plantations in the South, it was used to dehumanise and keep slaves in their place. The word is believed to have been contorted from Niger, Latin for black, as in Nigeria and the Niger River in Africa. It also means river among rivers in the local language. Anyway, from now on, when you hear a bleep, you'll know it's the N-word. We're now seeing books like Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn and films like Gone with the Wind re-edited to remove the bleeps On Anzac Day I was watching a British film, The Dam Busters. Now I've seen this movie 15 times I suppose, but it really clanged this time because the wing commander Guy Gibson, and this is based on a true story, had a black dog which he called Bleep, and the script of course is full of bleeps, absolutely loaded with bleeps. The dog is buried at Scampton Air Base now, and after 75 years the headstone bearing its name has been removed. In 1967, world heavyweight boxing champion Muhammad Ali was stripped of his world title and later sentenced to up to 5 years in jail, plus a $10,000 fine for refusing the draft. When asked why he opposed the Vietnam War, Ali replied, "Why would I want to shoot a Viet Cong? Ain't no Viet Cong ever called me bleep." That basically said it all for the black people in America. The word was claimed in the 70s by black comedians, chief among them being the brilliant Richard Pryor. However, in 1982, during a holiday in Africa, Pryor had an epiphany. He was sitting in the hotel foyer when a voice in his head said, "Tell me what you see around you." And he said, "I see people of all colours." "Do you see any bleeps?" "No." "You know why?" "'Cause there aren't any." He said, "It hit me like a shot. I started crying. I'd been here for 3 weeks and I haven't even said it. I haven't even thought it. I was wrong. I ain't never going to call another black man bleep. We never was no bleeps. It's a word used to describe our own wretchedness, and we perpetuate it. But now it's dead. I don't need any hip white people coming up to me and calling me bleep, or telling me bleep jokes. I don't like it. I don't like it when black people say it to me." And he immediately stopped using it. Unfortunately, like my friends discovered, a new generation of rap artists have ignored that lesson and flicked it around like a hand grenade with the charge removed. But the charge hasn't been removed. It's just been passed on to rap fans, black and white, who have no idea of its history and the hurt it holds. Which sort of reminds me of a saying coined in 1905 by George Santayana. He was a philosopher, a Harvard professor, poet and a writer. And Winston Churchill borrowed this one a couple of times and paraphrased it. But the saying was, "Those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it." Now, comedians from the brilliant George Carlin to Ricky Gervais have said words are inert. They just lie around waiting to be used. It's the intent behind their use, to demean on the basis of race, colour, creed or sexuality, that causes the hurt. So, at a time when anonymous people snipe behind bulletproof firewalls and others choose to be offended, it helps to have a sense of humour and a good measure of perspective. Anyway, that's my take on it. Stay safe.
Wow, that was pretty amazing, wasn't it?
Thought-provoking.
I tend to agree with him. It's people died, people fought for generations to get rid of that word, and for it to come back in now as a term of endearment from rap singers and things is just mind-blowing, really.
Well, it doesn't help solve a problem.
Rosa Parks wouldn't be happy, amongst others, but yeah, anyway. Yeah, thanks, Jim, for that. Well, that's
Something
it for another week.
Something a bit light-hearted, I think we need, Phil.
I think we do now. Jim's an incredibly serious man, but has a very funny streak to him, and we dug up this video that it's got to make you laugh. We'll be back next week with another show. Got a great guest on next week who is going to hopefully attack some of the myths and stuff that's all the misinformation that's out there at the moment about all this COVID stuff and what's happening and what you can do to keep safe, all of that sort of stuff. So have a great week, hang in there, ring each other up, especially if you know anyone that lives in Victoria or New South Wales, give them a call, talk to them, because they'll appreciate that. Yeah.
It's important stuff, Phil. My cousin's over there. It was snowing today. It was Mandy's birthday.
Yeah, it was snowing in Ballarat. My friend Nari put a video up on Facebook of very light snow in Ballarat, but
it's
brilliant.
great stuff. So
because it was bloody cold here yesterday in Western Australia.
froze me what's it all?
It was the coldest in 15 years. Me and the budgie went to bed early with the electric blanket on.
Well,
he loves
Wiggles
it.
like, oh, he's toasty, toasted budgie. Oh, terrific. And on that
guys.
note, we'll leave you with that. Here's some great memories, folks.
Check it out. See ya.
He'd been married for a year, but it seemed like more. He used to love his wife, but she was getting to be a bore. So he looked around the office, and he liked what he saw. Tight little numbers, eager to be poor. So he called his secretary, put her on his knee. He said,
I'll make it worth your while if you come away with me. We can hide away this weekend, leave our work behind. I'll even let you whip me if you promise you'll be kind.
"Hey, we're gonna have a dirty weekend on that shuffle. Dirty weekend on that shuffle.
Well, my wifey won't mind if I show you a real good time.
Dirty weekend on that shuffle." So he drove away smiling to have the time of his life.
Well, business is business.
That's what he told his wife. And as he lay back on the bed, trying to pull his socks off, he thought,
Any moment now.
I'm gonna get my rocks off. He was gonna have a dirty weekend on that shuffle. Dirty weekend on that shuffle.
Well, my wifey won't
shuffle.